How's it going, guys? I'm here. We're going to talk about the FTC Microsoft leak that they had spoken about and what all was out there. Paco Taco is also here to talk about the leak. Are we talking about that? The FTC and the Microsoft? This is what we're talking about today. So I want to start it off and open it up, essentially to what I posted on Facebook yesterday was the Elder Scrolls 6 is only going to be PC and Xbox exclusive. And truthfully, I'm not shocked because, obviously Microsoft wants to get as much money as they possibly can back from that acquisition of Bethesda. And really, we've seen this before, right? So in recent times, Starfield, of course, we know that one's exclusive. Let me take it back to like the original Xbox when Morrowind came out. This was only on Xbox and PC as well. So to me, I'm not saying we're saying history repeat itself, but what I am saying is that, big purchase of ZeniMax really just drives why that, like, the Elder Scrolls 6 would be exclusive. And I think that a lot of people are 100% kind of upset. Especially if you don't want or have a PC to play these games. You don't want to go out and buy a $300 to $500 Xbox console for one game. Because if we're being honest, will that game sell consoles? I bet there'll be one or two people who come out and will get that, console for it, unless they're into cloud gaming or streaming their games. Because we have technology to do that now for, iPads and iPhones and whatever, tablets on the Google Play Store, all that fun stuff to play these games, whether that's to stream it or however you want to go about playing the new Elder Scrolls 6 game. But I do think people will go out and buy an Xbox system if you want that more traditional feel where there's a TV, you've got a controller in your hand, you're just kicking back, relaxing casually. I'm going to be honest, I don't know if anybody did that for Starfield, but I do know that there are multiple ways to play Starfield, right? That, however you want to play it. And I think that is something that, people keep bringing up the console wars again. And I think it's more of the company acquisition wars, right? So ZeniMax, Bethesda, Activision, everything. But, I'm not going to cast blame to Sony, but I will say that they should not have gone as hard as they did about the whole Activision acquisition. They 100% did this to themselves when it comes to not only the exclusive part, right, but like all over Call of Duty. And they were going to get Call of Duty. Now, whether that was later or was it going to have it as an exclusive deal like they have in the past few years? I don't know. I think they shouldn't have gone as hard about it, right? So now, with that being said, the one other thing I want to address as far as the Elder Scrolls and Sony and everything is, who knows? Maybe this is just a timed exclusive. We have very little bits and pieces out of this leak. I know Phil Spencer tweeted out that there were some leaks that came out, and it's not that it was hurtful, but they wanted to do the thing kind of on their own. And honestly, I can't blame them. No one wants to have like that whole document leaked to see that, the Elder Scrolls and a couple of other things I want to get into briefly, not that much into, because the Elder Scrolls is like the biggest one in question, right? So for me personally, I'm not shocked. Sony did this, and really, if we want to talk about accountability and responsibility, someone has to take it. But I can't blame Microsoft for wanting to have that exclusive in hopes to sell Game Pass and hopes to sell hardware, which again, I think that's debatable. I think there's so many other ways to play Xbox related titles now that you don't need an Xbox or a PC. You can play them on your phone, tablets, streaming device. I think even Samsung TVs now can do streaming with that. So I want to talk about a little bit of, if it's just a timed exclusive, that'll be a big win, because think about Final Fantasy 16 with Sony. and Square Enix, that it's only a timed exclusive for a year, and then Xbox and PC will all get that. I do worry though, because again, you want to talk about accountability and responsibility. The only people who really suffer from this is consumers, right? So I know personally a few people who have a PlayStation 5 right now. They're super excited for Elder Scrolls because PlayStation in general holds RPG type games. You know, whether that's their own exclusives or whether that's just third party in general. When I think of role playing games, I definitely think of the PS5, or PlayStation in general, I should say. I know a lot of people think RPGs and think PC, which also makes sense to me. But again, you know, I played Morrowind my first go around with Xbox. Oblivion was with Xbox 360. And Skyrim, I think my first ever encounter with that was the 360, but I know one of my really good friends played it on 360, PS3, all the platforms essentially, even including Nintendo Switch. But anyway, my biggest concern is that consumers are suffering from this, but Microsoft's got to make that money back from the acquisition. Microsoft is really pushing for exclusivities because, you know, a lot of people in the space kept saying, hey, Microsoft doesn't have exclusives. Microsoft doesn't have games. And then people, for whatever reason, get mad that they go out and buy studios to now have games, which is weird because, like, yeah, while they're big major AAA title companies, they now have games. They now have exclusives. They now have the resources to provide these games, or like to provide to these game studios to have games in their platform. And I don't think that's really a bad thing. I mean, yeah, they get memed about it, but man, they're going to make some money from it. You know, it's a business. And in the business, unfortunately, like I said, consumers are the one who's going to suffer. So, you know, I'm going to be honest, I don't feel bad for Sony. They've done a lot of anti-consumer practices, you know, for years now. I know when the PS4 to Xbox One launched, you know, I was all in Sony's favor for a while, even though I was a primary Xbox player and PC player. But you can't deny that PlayStation 4 dominated that market. But I don't feel bad for Sony. You know, this is what happens when you get upset about a very mid gaming franchise. Like, first of all, I get it, Call of Duty is like one of the most played games, but the series is not that good, hasn't been that good in a while. And that's my, you know, opinion, of course. Obviously, it's selling and people are buying and people are loving it. Man, Call of Duty, if you played Call of Duty 05, 06, 07, you know what I mean. That's all I'm saying. You know, you could even go as far as to say 2009 with the OG Modern Warfare 2. Again, didn't personally like the game, but best-selling Call of Duty. Well, at the time it was best-selling. But anyway, this is what Sony gets for essentially, you know, crying about it. Jim Ryan crying, you know, he was. And that's not an attack on Sony, and I'm not even an Xbox fanboy. I think that the Elder Scrolls 6 should go to PlayStation, because I think from a consumer standpoint, everyone should get to experience this massive game. But because of the actions and because Xbox wants it to be exclusive, or I'm sorry, Microsoft wants it to be exclusive, they're going to either move hardware, move Game Pass subscriptions, or they're just going to get their game money from when everybody buys the game. And I think it's a smart business move, you know, from looking at it from getting money, you know. Sorry. You know, I mean, I'm not sorry. I'm really not. I don't feel any sympathy for Sony. Like I said, I'm not a hater by any means, but this is what happens. Like, you reap what you sow in life, obviously, and this sucks for consumers, but you should have let the acquisition of Activision go, man. Like, go buy some more studios, go make Horizon the third one, go make another God of War, go make a Spider-Man 3, because I know you guys are going to do that. And again, not an attack, and I'm excited for those games. That's the thing. So, like, I have no qualm necessarily with Sony, but it's like, this is what happens when you are a crybaby, you know, essentially. So my overall take, I really feel like Elder Scrolls 6 should come out to all platforms, but here we are. It's coming out to Xbox and PC when it does decide to finally release, which we won't see that game for 5 or 6 years. One last thing before I move on, because speaking of Xbox or Microsoft purchasing gaming companies, AAA gaming companies specifically, I was watching a stream of Moist Critical, and something that he said that I agree with. In the next 10 years, if that, we're going to see a huge decline in AAA, because think about how much money and resources it takes to make these games. It's just not financially smart to keep producing and producing and producing. Rockstar got a rep with Red Dead and Grand Theft Auto. They have their online service, which they make the money from the microtransactions. But when you look at like Elder Scrolls 6, right, how do you make money from that other than expansions? So I think we're going to see a huge nosedive with AAA games in the next 5 to 10 years. And the indie industry is what's going to hold. So it's really going to hold the gaming industry at a progressive upwards trend. There we go. Because I do genuinely think that indie games will be what helps. When I think of games like Cult of the Lamb, at one point Minecraft was a independent game. All these other independent developers, they got a lot of stuff that's going for them, whether it's the resources or whether it's just making quality games. One of the other things I really wanted to touch on was something that did come out of the leaks that I'm super excited for, that I hope. I saw the Oblivion and Fallout 3 remaster. I really hope so. I know a lot of people focus more on that Fallout 3 remaster. And listen, if they put Fallout 3 with today's graphics and some of the mechanics, and whether I'm going to be playing it, of course, on PC. I still have my Series X. It's the Halo edition, but I don't play it as much because I have a PC. But on my PC, as long as I can get 60 frames out of that game, I'm cool. And if they put 60 frames on Xbox, I'm all for it. I'll try it on Xbox. But I just want Fallout 3, 60 frames per second remastered. Oblivion, I really hope so, because I want a lot of people to experience Oblivion who didn't get to. That gets that more classic Bethesda feel, kind of like what you get with Starfield, essentially. You put that bad boy in 60 frames, let's go, man. And then the only other thing from the Microsoft FTC leak that I wanted to talk about was the new Series X that is a cylinder now. That's going to be 2 terabytes and digital only. If you know me, I'm all about physical media, obviously, because I now own this copy of Morrowind. And I can play this on the OG Xbox. I can pop this in the Series X, so on and so forth. Digitally, whichever. Sometimes you can't. I have it for PC digitally, so it's like I can play that, of course, digitally. I still am if you can get it physical, I recommend getting it physical. Now, with that being said, the way some of the games and stuff are nowadays, sometimes the discs in there are just licensed for digital games. Super big bummer. That happened last generation, kind of closer to the end anyway. But I own that copy, right? So I have my opinion, and eventually one day I'll go through the physical versus digital thing. But today we're talking about this. I think you still get a better value out of... Think of it this way. This new Series X is more of a slim, like the Xbox One S was, and like the PS4 Slim, than it is like a new console, like an upgrade, if you will. Less power consumption, the controller's a little different. I'm going to be honest, I couldn't care less about the controller. I really don't care. I like my Series X controller. I have the green one. It's a controller. It looks and feels good. I don't like that glossy look for controllers either, so I don't really care about the controller. But the new Series X console, it's like that cylinder look. It looks like a router, honestly. But we all roasted the way that the Series X, and especially the PS5, looked at launch anyway. So I don't personally like the look, but 2 terabytes is a lot of memory. I know a lot of people who do digital anyway. So this would be a win for them if this is like their first experience getting a Series X. But for me, I still think at a better value, you get the disk drive, whether that's for any physical media or if anything happens, I like the box look of the Xbox because it's an Xbox, but that's just me being picky at that point. And really, I think that was all the big stuff. I mean, I'm not going to get the new Series X console, A, because I have a PC, but B, because I have this console, the Halo Edition, and that thing is beautiful. I love the way it looks and sounds, and I don't want another Xbox. And truthfully, like I said, I play all my stuff on PC anyway, so, especially Xbox stuff, but it's there if I need it. But honestly, guys, that was pretty much the biggest things I got out of that leak, and I'm very curious to what you guys think. I know some of you wanted to get my opinion of the drama, if you will, from all of it, but more or less, I know a lot of people used to like listen to me talk about video games and my opinions and stuff, and at this moment on this day, this is how I feel. I kind of, when I lean into these console wars type things, I think it's great for competition, but at the same time, now that we're all so accumulated with cross-platform and stuff, I mean, just let people play games on your platforms, man. Like, it's not that hard, but I don't know. That could be another video for another time, but that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about today. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Have a great day.